I'm going to say what we're all thinking. The MCU has fallen off, right? Hey everyone, it's Jojo Hinky here, and today I'm going to be talking about why I personally don't like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and why I think it is especially fallen off. Now, I know this is kind of an unpopular opinion considering MCU is kind of like the gold standard for movies nowadays, and everyone wants a multiverse and everyone wants their own cinematic universe, but I personally am just not a fan. And I'll go through why in this video, and I know it has been a while since I posted, but trust me, I'm trying. College and life and a lot of personal things have just come up and I haven't found the time, but I'm trying, you guys. It is currently 2 a.m. and I'm recording this. I promise. I'm putting in some effort. Now for me, I'm just not the biggest superhero fan. I never read comics as a kid. The only movies I really watched were the Spider-Man movies, Tobey Maguire, my goat. So superhero movies in general just aren't the biggest love for me. Like I'm not the biggest fan of fight scenes. I'm not the biggest fan of action movies in general, but really good ones do get me going. Like for example, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, very good. Have yet to watch 3. I'm getting there. But first and second Guardians of the Galaxy hooked me. Tom Holland Spider-Man movies hooked me. Iron Man didn't hook me. Captain America didn't hook me. I tried to watch Civil War and it bored me too. I tried to watch Infinity War. I finished it, but I wasn't like super into it, and I never really got around to watching Endgame. I know, sue me. There's just so many Marvel movies I've tried to watch because my parents liked it or my girlfriend likes it, but me personally, I just can't get into a majority of them. That being said, it's not like I dislike superhero movies in general. Batman the Dark Knight, obviously a classic, love that movie. Invincible, I know this doesn't really count, but it's a superhero TV show that I was really iffy on, but the end of that first episode really hooked me in. I'll probably make a video about that in the future. I'm in the middle of watching season 3. The thing that really annoys me about the MCU the most is that I feel like now, especially more than ever, you have to have watched so many other things to get what's going on. When I want to watch a movie, I don't want to have to look up all the things I need to watch to understand what's happening in the movie. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, I don't want to have to watch WandaVision and Loki and all of these movies in a row to know what's happening in this one movie that me and my friends want to watch. I want to be able to sit down and watch the movie. And I understand that, you know, maybe you're thinking, oh, well, sequels have that problem, but sequels are different because they're directly impacted by the other one. For me, it's like, I don't want to have to watch every single movie that came before this one to understand this one and get its full capacity. I feel like it's a problem for me personally. I feel like it would be cool if it was like you watch this movie and you get like little Easter egg kind of things if you watch the other movies, but I feel like it's so contingent on each other, like they're so related and relied on each other that you don't really get what's happening plot wise and overall if you don't watch the previous movies or shows, which brings me into another point of why I'm not a big fan of MCU stuff, and that's because it feels more like a TV show, right? It's more like I'm watching really long episodes of a TV show instead of a movie, but the TV show episodes are very, very hit or miss, especially after the Endgame era. There is very few good Marvel movies coming out compared to pre-Endgame, which garnered a lot of hype. I remember I was personally in middle school and Endgame came out and everybody was talking about it. You were talking about Endgame and you were talking about seeing it because it was the most hyped thing at the time. And even for me, someone who didn't like superhero stuff, I wanted to watch Infinity War very badly and Endgame, even though I didn't understand what was going on. And I didn't end up watching Endgame because I didn't feel like watching everything that came before it to fully understand the story. I watched Civil War, I watched Infinity War, and I just wasn't the biggest fan of the style, and I wasn't the biggest fan of superhero stuff, and that's just my personal opinion. And I get that your opinion is you're super into superhero stuff, so you love the MCU, and that's perfectly fine. But that brings me to my next point, and that is it feels like a fad that they're trying to carry out more than it does that they're actually trying to make a good product. I feel like after Endgame they realized, oh my god, we can make so much money, like so much money. So now they've just poured out TV show and movie after TV show and movie, and I feel like they're pumping them out so fast that they're not really that good. Especially recently, there has not been a lot of banger kind of Marvel movies lately, and it shows. And I've heard everything, and I feel like we've all heard the criticism of these different phases and everything they're doing, and bringing back Robert Downey Jr. and the new trailer that released, and all this stuff is just very odd to me because the multiverse thing really makes it more confusing than interesting, in my opinion. Like, no one's going to look at Robert Downey Jr. and be like, oh, that's Doctor Doom. No, they're going to think, oh, that was Iron Man. He's dead. And it feels like they brought him back more because they could get money more than the fact that it creates a good story. Now, I think it could be interesting, and I think that if it was executed well, the multiverse thing would be really cool because you can tell an infinite amount of stories. But the way that Marvel is going about it makes it feel like they just want money. Like, they're just trying to do the most hype thing that they can to try to get people back in. It feels like a bad joke, or like I said before, a fad that's kind of going away that they're trying to just cling onto for money. And I just guess like that's the whole problem with Disney in general at the moment, with all the live action remakes and sequels instead of making original kind of things lately, which I'll touch upon in the future because I have a whole video ready for that. But I feel like Marvel just needs to focus more on their movies and making them good than trying to connect them all together. You don't have to have them all connected. You can make a multiverse movie and a non-multiverse movie. You can make a movie that's good and heart-wrenching and amazing that everyone will love, and not have it be connected to 20 other movies that you're trying to promote to make more money, to make more Disney Plus subscriptions, to make more ticket sales, to make more of everything. I mean, like, let's be completely honest, who's looking at the MCU these days and thinking, oh my god, this is quality, oh my god, I am super hyped for this? Not many fans are left. Even people I know who are diehard Marvel fans, for example, my parents, my girlfriend, do not have much faith left in what's going on. There is more criticism around Marvel lately than there is actual positive remarks. But things I see on the internet are mostly negative. Things I see on the internet aren't positive. The most positive thing that happened to Marvel lately is Marvel Rivals. It is crazy to me that you have these infinite abundance of comic books and characters and pre-existing fans, and you're just not tapping into them because you want to make money, even though you'll probably make more money and more fandom doing original things, doing things that aren't clinging on to other movies, doing things that aren't clinging on to the past, doing things that aren't very blatant cash grabs. And I feel like that's my biggest problem lately, is that I don't even want to watch Marvel movies because I know that they're just targeted to make money. Because the concept of a multiverse and a cinematic universe has become so popular lately, and everyone's doing it, that it feels like, hey, maybe I should do it. But no, please, someone do something different. Tell me why I just finished season 2 of Invincible. This is going off topic, but I'm rambling. Tell me why I just finished season 2 of Invincible. And the second I saw Angstrom with his multiverse power, I wanted to literally be like, oh my god. Because, dude, multiverse has become such a bad connotation in my brain because everyone wants to do it and almost everyone fails, that it's like, I don't want to deal with this. It's making my show worse. I want to focus on this storyline. I want to focus on these characters that I've come attached to. I don't want to focus on what ifs and what could be, because that just shouldn't be the focus of a storyline, of your superheroes, of these characters that your audience is attached to. The focus should be the fans and what the fans want, and what stories you can tell that are unique and creative, and not just for money and what you think people want to see. And the last thing I want to talk about is what I like to call the Fast and Furious syndrome. Because let's be real, who's going to a Fast and Furious movie and being like, I'm hyped for this? You go into a Fast and Furious movie because you want to watch cars get blown up. Like, let's be so real. Same thing with Transformers, same thing with any long drawn out series. It gets to a point where it should just end. And that's what I feel like the MCU should do. It should just end. You don't need to keep continuing this thing that, let's be real, has been beaten over and over and over again. You can make solo and standalone movies without having to connect it to every other superhero you have and every other story you have. And I feel like Marvel is falling into this trap that Transformers and Fast and Furious and these other long drawn out IPs do, and that's, you're losing the main point. No one's going into Marvel movies anymore expecting a deep, emotional, and empowering story. They're going in to see some cool CGI action sequences and to see how this long, decade-plus story is evolving. But the story is just getting worse and it needs to stop. It should have stopped at Endgame on that high note. And maybe you bring it back with new characters, new actors. You do not need to bring back old actors to play new roles because it gets you money and it gets you attention. You are Marvel. You are a multi-billion-dollar company. You should be able to hire writers who are confident enough in their skills to bring characters to life. There are so many superheroes that people don't even know about. that you can create a fandom for. You don't need to keep bringing back the Avengers. You don't need to keep bringing back the X-Men. You don't need to keep bringing back the Guardians of the Galaxy or the Fantastic Four. People are going to be drawn to what's new. The Marvel name alone will bring in people to watch the movie, and if it's good, you'll bring in even more people to watch a movie. You don't need to keep making these long drawn out, let's face it, sequels that just aren't good anymore. And that for me is just the bottom line of what Marvel and I guess just overall Disney is doing wrong. Everything feels like it's for money, everything feels like it's for attention, and nothing feels like it's for the actual storytelling of these characters that people are attached to. And when the storytelling is bad for these characters that you're introducing, no one's getting attached to the new characters. No one's going to care, and eventually the MCU will fall flat, or they'll have to try to bring back old characters that people are already attached to in new ways, even if it makes no sense, which is the multiverse. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Sorry for ranting about that. It is 2 a.m, and honestly I didn't write a script for this. If you want to check out what I've been doing lately, go over to Winton Productions, which I'll link below, and check out our new short film. Go down below and do all the other funny jazz while you're down there. Comment what you want me to watch or talk about. I always look at the comments. I have a spreadsheet of things I need to watch and talk about. Trust me, when I get free time I will do my best. I promise. It's just been very hectic. I appreciate you all. Have a great day. Peace.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.